Good Thursday, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Conversation Daily News. Glad you all could be with us. Well, we made it over the hump and went on a home stretch tour at the weekend, and I want to say thank you guys so much. For those who don't know, I released my first poetry book in 18 years this week, kicking off National Poetry Month. It's called My Journey in Haiku. Thanks to you guys, thanks to all of you. You made it not only a #1 new release on Amazon, you made it #1 in 3 categories on Amazon, including Best Japanese Haiku Form. So thank you guys so much for the support of this book. It means a lot to me. I wanted to do something special to kick off National Poetry Month, share a different side of myself, something I don't normally do. And so I really appreciate you guys being able to support it the way that you have. If you have not gotten it already for yourself, you can get it on Amazon. By going to my Amazon storefront at booksyouneedstore.com. Again, that's booksyouneedstore.com. For today, because you have news headlines coming up, have a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. And in today's Entertainment Spotlight, you hear part of my conversation with award-winning author Aida Salazar discussing her brand new book, Ultraviolet. You don't want to miss that. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Thursday headlines. In international news, with famine looming, aid group halts food delivery in Gaza after Israeli strike kills 7 workers. Some of Israel's closest allies, including the United States, on Tuesday condemned the deaths of 7 aid workers who were killed by airstrikes in Gaza, a loss that prompted multiple charities to suspend food deliveries to Palestinians on the brink of starvation. The deaths of the world's central kitchen workers threatened to set back efforts by the U.S. and other countries to open a maritime corridor for aid from Cyprus to help ease the desperate conditions in northern Gaza. President Joe Biden issued unusually blunt criticism of Israel by its closest ally, suggesting that the incident demonstrated that Israel was not doing enough to protect civilians. Israel has not done enough to protect aid workers trying to deliver desperately needed help to civilians, he added he was outraged and heartbroken by the killings. Incidents like yesterday's simply should not happen, he added. The United States has repeatedly urged Israel to deconflict their military operations against Hamas with humanitarian operations in order to avoid civilian casualties. Ships still laden with some 240 tons of aid from the charitable group turned back from Gaza just a day after arriving, according to Cyprus. Other humanitarian aid organizations also suspended operations in Gaza, saying it was too dangerous to offer help. Israel has only allowed a trickle of food and supplies into Gaza's devastated north, where experts say famine is imminent. The dead from Monday's night strikes included 3 British citizens, Polish and Australian nationals, a Canadian-American dual national, and a Palestinian. Those countries have been key backers of Israel's nearly 6-month offensive in Gaza, and several of them denounced the killings. Israel already faces growing isolation as international criticism of the Gaza attack has mounted. On the same day as the deadly airstrikes, Israel stirred more fears by apparently striking Iran's consulate in Damascus and killing 2 Iranian generals. The government also moved to shut down a foreign media outlet owned by Al Jazeera television. The hit on the charity's convoy also highlighted what critics have called Israel's indiscriminate bombing and lack of regard for civilian casualties in Gaza. Israel's military chief announced the results of a preliminary investigation early on Wednesday. It was a mistake that followed a misidentification at night during a war in a very complex condition. It should not have happened, he said. He gave no further details. He said an independent body would conduct a thorough investigation that would be completed in the coming days. In more international news, fierce earthquake rattles Taiwan, killing 9 and injuring more than 1,000, says the Associated Press. The strongest earthquake in a quarter century rocked Taiwan Wednesday morning, killing 9 people, stranding dozens at quarries and a national park, and sending some residents scrambling out the windows of damaged buildings. The quake, which injured more than 1,000, struck during rush hour and was centered off the coast of a mountainous rural area where some buildings leaned at several angles, their ground floors crushed. Just over 93 miles away in the capital, tiles fell from older buildings, and schools evacuated students to sports fields as aftershocks rattled the island nation. In national news, officer hired as sheriff's deputy despite involvement in fatal Manuel Ellis arrest resigns. A former Tacoma police officer who was hired as a sheriff's deputy in a neighboring county despite his involvement in the violent fatal arrest of Manuel Ellis in 2020 has resigned his new job after just 2 days. Thurston County Sheriff Derek Sanders said in a written statement Wednesday that he failed to anticipate the community's strong objection to the hiring of the deputy. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Seattle is still investigating and could bring prosecutions for federal civil rights violations. A wrongful death lawsuit against Tacoma is still pending, says the Associated Press. In sports, the Buffalo Bills agreed to trade top receiver Stefon Diggs to the Houston Texans. Whether or not he knew a trade to the Houston Texans was in the works, Stefon Diggs' tenure with the Bills ended with a two-word question, summing up perhaps why the receiver's commitment to Buffalo was frequently scrutinized. "You sure?" Diggs posted on X on Tuesday night in response to someone suggesting he was an essential to quarterback Josh Allen's success. The Bills and everyone else are now about to find out how Allen fares without his favorite target after Buffalo agreed to trade Diggs to the Houston Texans on Wednesday. As part of the deals, Bills acquired the Texans' second-round pick in the 2025 draft, which Houston acquired in a trade with Minnesota. And finally, in business news, Wall Street holds firmer in mixed trading after its worst days in weeks, says the Associated Press. U.S. stocks held firmer Wednesday, a day after their worst drop in weeks. The S&P 500 inched up by 5.68 points, or 0.1%, to 5,211. The Dow Jones Industrial Average slipped 43 points, or 0.1%, to 39,127. The Nasdaq Composite added 37 points, or 0.2%, to 16,277. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's on time for a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. Enjoy. Good Thursday, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Words I Choose to Live By. You may not think you have a reason to smile today, but the very fact that you are here is a reason to celebrate. Never take the simple things for granted. Your every breath is a gift from God. Have an amazing Thursday. Award-winning author Aida Salazar speaks in today's Entertainment Spotlight, written in Conversation Daily News. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with the Entertainment Spotlight. Award-winning author Aida Salazar joined me on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about her brand new book, Ultraviolet. Here's a bit of our conversation.
Aida, thank you again for stopping by. I really appreciate the time.
Oh, I am so excited to be here with you, Cyrus. Thank you so much.
Hey, glad to have you. Happy Pub Day to you again. So, Aida, I have to say, Ultraviolet is such a powerful book for young people, but as I said, for us adults as well, and of course, us adults are a big part of the story as well. What has it been like for you, even before the release, Aida, to be able to see the way that people are responding to it?
Well, it's been very touching, somewhat surprising, but also very touching. This is the first time that I've written a story from a boy's perspective, and so I was very nervous about that because, I wanted to be able to tell an authentic story, a story that really moved people, and all of the kind of the advanced readers have hopefully, well, what they've expressed is that they really enjoy it. It's received 3-starred reviews from the trade journals. Cricket called it a story that sings to the soul. And so, my male colleagues, award-winning authors, have said that they call it a lyrical explosion, masterful. These were really wonderful, beautiful things about the book. So the reception has been fantastic.
Yeah. And you're able to do something that I think is so important, Aida, in this book, and that is to remind us that young people, there are a lot of things that they go through. A lot of times they don't always feel comfortable talking about them. I love the fact that even in the book, even having the self-conversations are not easy, but you've created a safe place for young people to discuss these things with your characters, but also for adults as well. Talk to us about how the idea for this book came about.
The book is about a little boy who falls in love for the very first time and sees everything in ultraviolet colors.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Conversations Daily News. I'll be back on tomorrow to wrap up this week. And until then, I'm our host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Let us go make today amazing. Take care.